Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, welcome back. This is Gaming at the Round Table with Crystal, JoJo, and myself, Maverick. And today we're going to talk about games that have evolved over time and changed dramatically with either a patch or just a reinvention of itself. Most of these games are going to be subscription or online exclusive, but we've got a couple examples that not necessarily exclusively online. Animal Crossing, for example, Cyberpunk. So I do have a list just so that we don't lose ourselves here. So let's kick it off with the RPG category. Baldur's Gate 3. Joe, question for you. Have you played Baldur's Gate 3? Okay, so this will be mainly
Missing
Crystal and
out.
I for this discussion.
Mm.
So Baldur's Gate 3 came out on multiple platforms when it released. And Crystal and I were like, all right, well, we're going to play it on the platform we like, which is the PlayStation 5. So we pick it up on PS5. We try co op, and there were some issues. Crystal, do you recall some of them?
Like when we first started playing?
Yeah, I can think of one if you can't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. The items, when you would transfer between your character inventory to or from an ally's character inventory, the game would just like pause. It would just stagger so hard
Oh
while it
yeah.
calculated where your item was going to go. Or if you were running around and your co op partner opened their inventory, didn't even do anything, they were just like, I want to see this menu. The game was like, hey, everybody, we're not going to pause the game. We're just going to make it run at 5 frames a second.
Yeah.
So stand by while we think. And I remember thinking, oh no, we wasted our investment here because we wanted to play it together. But then something happened, something magical.
Yeah.
And that was some random patch we didn't even know was coming out. We're like, oh man, I guess there's a patch. Well, let's see what they added. We booted up and everything was something's different. Does this feel
Yeah.
like different to you? Like, what is it? There's no lag. I can watch this. I'm going to send you an item. Oh my gosh, instantaneous.
hmm
It literally went from I'm barely enjoying playing with someone else to
Well, we enjoyed it so long as we didn't have to touch our inventory.
right. But it's
Which
an RPG with a
Yeah, we touched our inventory
with
a lot.
hundreds of if not thousands of items that you can.
Oh my gosh. And you, oh my gosh. I'm very much a pick up everything and just kind of throw it to the wayside kind of person. And he's very like, let me make sure my bag is organized. Let me make sure the items are exactly where I want them to be and who they're on
What does this
and
do?
whatever. So like he would bring up the menu and I'm like, oh God, here we go. I'd pull out my phone, start playing a different game, write a whole story, go to this gas station and come back and he's still in his menu, you know? So it was a great update for us to see that they did that. Oh my gosh.
Well,
I'm sorry. I had to throw you under the bus there.
hello, Internet. Nice to meet you. So next on the list is MMOs. So
Mm.
the de facto MMO is Final Fantasy 14. And something I was saying right before we started this podcast was that Final Fantasy 14 is actually legitimately titled Final Fantasy 14 A Realm Reborn because when
Mhm.
FF14 first came out, and I remember this because I played it was either the demo or I bought it and on initial release I played it. It was terrible, awful. And I stopped playing it after one or two sessions, despite being in love with the franchise.
Mm.
Uh, and then I guess some time went by. I don't know exactly how long. And they actually shut down their servers. They did this whole big event and they released a Realm Reborn. They just wiped all data, your characters, everything, poof. And then you had the same name MMO come out, and now it is currently the top MMO uh, to
It's so
date,
good.
and it's many years old now,
Hmm
and it is absolutely the reigning champion. And so that changed the game, and that wasn't even a patch. That was delete. Let's try this again. Yay Japanese and their sense of honor and duty, because we've put so much time and energy into that game, and so many other people have. Um, we've
600 days worth of
we've made
gameplay.
lifelong friends from it. I
Yeah.
can I can list people that I won't because it's the open internet, but
Yeah.
we've made real life long standing friendships due to
Mm.
that game. So yeah, that one changed over time radically. And we're not just talking expansion packs, right? The core of the game changed. Now,
Mm-hmm.
it is a little cheesy to be like, "Oh, an expansion pack came out and things changed," but that counts. It counts.
I
It's just it needs to be a big enough change, right? It needs to
It changed the, I would say, like what the meta was, but like every patch is the same thing
for Final
as far as
Fantasy.
Final Fantasy
Right.
goes. Like you're gonna get a raid. You're gonna get a savage. You're gonna get a 24-man raid. Like you're getting new dungeons and new maps. Like it's the same thing, just new every time. So
Final Fantasy said, "Look, we did all of our like revamping years ago. We're not doing that again."
honestly, though, it works for them. Like, even I took a very long break from Final Fantasy 14 and I've come back, and I feel that even though I know it's coming, I'm still having a lot of fun. Although it really does help when you have really good friends to play with. So there's that.
And
There's a few games that I could say are like that, where if you have a solid party of people to play with,
Hmm.
like consistently, it makes playing it, even if the game is what most would consider average, it makes it worth playing.
Yeah.
And I think the best example I can give of a game that missed that mark is Destiny.
oh
Hmm.
yes,
Because I'm almost certain if they had came out with a stronger party system when it first dropped, and I'm talking from Destiny 1, not even Destiny 2, where they corrected it somewhat, but even then it still kind of fumbled it. If they had done that so much better, I think the game would have done a lot better than what it currently. I mean, it's still around,
yeah.
don't get me wrong, but I think it would have been a whole different experience.
Yeah.
It would have helped too if their servers weren't locking out people that were trying to play the game. I remember Destiny coming out. It is one of two games I've purchased at full price on release that I literally couldn't play the game. The servers just wouldn't let me. And
Others too.
it wasn't like, "Oh, you're stuck in this huge queue." It was, you can't even connect to this online only game. And when
Hmm.
Destiny 1 actually came out, online only was still, it wasn't unheard of, but it wasn't as well received as it is right now. Um, so it was very frustrating. And so they damaged the reputation in several ways, including the
Hmm.
co-op orientation. Like, here's this game that in an era where we're still transitioning to online exclusive, you better make it like super oriented with, I don't know, playing online with people. And so to Joe's point, uh, they could have done better there.
I think the other thing to point out that you kind of hinted at being online only is that that was more of a PC feature. It wasn't necessarily for console games.
Yeah.
Whereas console games, you could just put your CD in and then play the game. Whereas nowadays, it's hard to get a game that's offline only, that you can pop a CD in and then play the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've spoken about this in other podcasts, and not to go back down the same rabbit hole, but I think that's a big factor that a lot of gaming companies aren't considering.
Yeah. I was very disillusioned the first time I bought a case CD, took it home, popped it into my PlayStation, and it says, "Okay, downloading the game, 60 gigs or whatever it was." I was like, "What? What did I just buy? Is this a giant
I'll
CD
take
with
it.
like an install on it?"
I'll take it a step further than that. When I used to work at GameStop, I remember opening a case because you're supposed to take the game out of the case and like display it or whatever. And there was no CD in it. It was a code. It was a piece of paper. So you're buying a plastic case with no CD in it, just a piece of paper that you have to go home and download.
Craziness. So, just to steer us back, handheld, we have Animal Crossing. I haven't played it. I don't play farm sim type games.
You should. They're fun.
We'll talk about Lego in a minute here, but Crystal.
So when Animal Crossing's expanded pack came out, I feel like that made a huge difference in how you tackled playing the game. Because originally it was mostly just, you collect your little villagers and then you wait for the shop to reset every single day to decorate. Um, but when the expanded came out, first of all, they let you decorate your villagers' houses, which was a huge thing because some of them, one of the characters in particular that I'm thinking about, their whole house aesthetic was trash.
Like literal trash?
Yeah, I was about to say, not saying that it was trash. Like it was
Oscar the Grouch.
literal. It was literal trash. The flooring was like trash newspapers all over the place, and just like it was cardboard boxes for furniture. It was bad.
Hold on a second. Was that a Sesame Street reference? It took me.
I'm glad somebody caught that. Okay. I was like, Oscar the Grouch.
I was like, I kind of recognized it, and then it started to sink in there. Sorry. Continue with this homeless person's house in this Animal Crossing.
But he was a really cute character. Like, he was a little goat. So, goat eats the trash, whatever. But, like, he was super cute. But you couldn't have him on your island without people walking into his house and just seeing trash.
It's like one of those boyfriends you're ashamed of, even though he's really, like, good looking.
That's why girls always remake over their freaking places. Anyways. So it was really nice that afterwards you could pull from your entire inventory. So I'm not saying like, say I have 6 baskets in my inventory. I can only use those 6 baskets. I mean, if I've ever owned that item, it's a catalog. There you go. You could pull from the catalog of every item you've ever owned and decorate their place for free. So that was really, really cool because then I could change Trash McGee's house into something that was a lot cuter.
Question on that. So are you saying that basically they didn't just expand it to where you can decorate other people's houses, which going from one to many is a significant shift, but the management of your inventory and stuff changed?
So your inventory itself didn't change. It was when you were decorating a villager's house that it changed. So like, I'm trying to think of how I could explain this to you.
Was it different when you were decorating your house prior?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have to own the physical item in order to decorate my house. So like if I own 2 chairs, I can only place 2 chairs in my house.
Right.
But owning those 2 chairs, it adds those chairs to my catalog. So when I'm decorating my villager's house, it sees that I've owned that chair before. Now I could place 15 of them if I want to in their house.
Yeah.
Without having to purchase or craft 15 chairs.
So it's
so the simpler version of Skyrim.
Oh, I've never played
Skyrim. You
Skyrim.
Remember that? I've played Skyrim, but I don't remember that.
Yeah, you could customize your place, but then you can go into like random people's places and then move stuff around.
Oh, I would just well, anyway. So, first-person shooters, we've got a couple listed here. You guys kick it off. Joe, go ahead and take on Apex.
Well, Apex has been an ongoing ball of fire, I guess is the best way to put it. But they have a habit of releasing a legend, as they call them, and the character can have certain perks or things that Crystal mentioned that changes the meta of the game.
Yeah.
Where I could say the specific one that changed the game absolutely when it dropped was Valkyrie. Because she had the ability to literally lift you off and move you. Because prior to her character release, that wasn't a thing. So if you were on like a bad side of the map, you had to rotate, you had to move. Whereas when she came out, it completely changed pretty much how you played the game. To the point where they had to nerf her into the ground. And then they started adding in features on the map and other things like that. The other character that came out and like out of the gate was just people were complaining it was Seer because his scan could literally hit you and kill you. And I had a clip of it where I'm going off of something and I'm flying at somebody, and in the air I just throw the little scan out, and like a tube of just heat, I hit somebody and I killed them.
Like
And I was like,
instantaneously?
yeah, they were fighting or something, but like normally it just scans them behind a wall so you know where they're at. It
Oh,
shouldn't have
okay.
had like anything more than just like, hey, I know where you're at.
Seer was so broken when he first came out. They nerfed that poor guy into the ground. But he, like Joe's saying, he could scan. His scan was so long and it could do damage. His
He also
ultimate
had a passive which was
was
like you could hear
huge.
somebody's heartbeat.
From forever and a day away, you could
I could be
almost
2
see the
buildings
whole
over and I could hear
POI.
someone's heartbeat, so I knew if they were close to me or not.
Mm,
So I could redirect my whole group and say like, "Hey, we got to go over there." And you could
mm.
tell what direction it was coming from because there was a marker on your screen, so it was essentially like wall hacking with a character.
They nerfed that so bad.
But the newest character, I'm blanking the name.
Alter.
Alter. I know for a fact it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
Like this character is a combination. If I was going to say that they were a combination of different characters, it's Revenant, Wraith, and then what was my other one?
Nova.
Loba. Because she has an ability that if someone gets knocked near you and their death box is near you, I can literally look at it from essentially across the map and pull a single item out of your box. So if I'm hurt real bad, I don't have the heals, I can literally creep up, grab what I need, and then push into a fight.
So let's talk in terms of core mechanics, or in I understand this is a PvP game, right? So core mechanics
Mm-hmm.
includes meta and not just physical mechanics of the game. So you've touched on some physical mechanics and bugs and just balancing issues. Do you feel that of those characters, especially those three, that it changed the way everyone else had to play the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can give an example with the newest character because she has the ability to literally walk through walls.
Oh,
That can
in
be
a
or a
kill each
gap
other
of
game, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
not
So
just her party.
yeah, like if I put the portal on the side of a wall and it's within, I think it's 20 meters or something like that. I don't remember the exact depth. We can skip in behind you. Whereas normally there was no way to get in. You could be inside of a bunker, and the only ways in were the front door, the side door, and then that was it.
Is so I don't play a lot of Apex, and I've played it like a couple of times. Is the environment destructible? Like previously, could you
No.
blow out a wall or something?
No.
Okay, so that is a dramatic change to the core mechanics of the game and how you have to play. Because previously, you could have 100% certainty that you could like blockade an entrance, for example.
Yeah,
Doors
they
were
had
the only
characters that
thing.
were considered control. I don't mean to cut you off,
Okay.
but you could put gas traps, you could put electric fences, you could put up a shield wall, and you could do different things to fortify and keep people out of where you were at.
Yeah.
That no longer does anything because I can literally hop in behind you or I can pull you out of where you're at. So if you're in a building above me, I can shoot her thing right underneath you, and if you're not aware of it, you'll step on it and get pulled right out of it.
I mean, it goes further than that too, right? Like, say I run away from somebody and I hide behind a bin, and I'm trying to pull off a bat, but the person, the
For
altar,
our viewers,
shoots.
pull off a bat means recover your shields.
Right. So they shoot the altar thing on the other side of the crate that I'm hiding at. It'll suck me in and shoot me out the other side, and now I'm a sitting duck.
Like,
it's fun to
don't mind
watch.
me. I'm just patching myself up. Hi.
I've done it to a few people. It's funny to watch, but I know for a fact it's gonna
it's
get
rage-inducing.
I've watched it repeatedly.
That sounds.
I had it happen recently. I wasn't battering or anything. I was full health. Thank God I killed the altar. But I was trying to get inside the room to shoot her, and she kidnapped me. And luckily, there is like I don't know, a split second of you being in the phase where you can like see
Yeah.
around you, but you have to be like mentally ready at all times with her around. It's almost like you're being stalked. So like you just have to be on edge the entire time you're playing now rather than before you never worried. I mean, you worried a wraith might kidnap you, but you saw her coming to try to do that. But aside from that, like now you don't see it coming. You don't hear it coming. You don't expect it. It's just you're gone. Okay, cool.
I feel like they should. Well, first of all, we'll see what they do. But if I were making a mechanic in a PvP game where you can hear directional footsteps and similar things like that, which I believe is the case with Apex, and I made a portal of any kind, there would be like a warp sound or something as it's activating.
You see,
No,
there are sounds,
yeah,
but Apex.
I'm smiling for people that aren't watching video because they're notorious for their audio bugs to where you don't hear audio at all. And I think it had to do a lot with when Horizon came out because she has these like jet things on her feet, so it cushions when she walks.
Mhm.
So because of that, it took out a certain audio cue for her character, but it wound up going to everybody. So you'd be sitting in a corner trying to like wait for a team to turn a corner and have no idea that they're literally walking right behind you.
I never thought of that. I never realized that that was Horizon's fault.
well,
I love her though.
it's hard to not make a pun on that. So another game in the FPS category is Fortnite, which is also a popular game. This one
Yes.
I've actually played, and in my opinion, Fortnite's like a really easy to cover game when it comes to games that change dramatically over time or with a huge patch or something. So Fortnite, I Joe, I think you were telling the story. I don't remember if it was on podcast or not on podcast, but you were telling us the story that when Fortnite came out, it was one mode, right? Or it was a mode that was failing.
Yeah, it was originally designed to be kind of like a zombie survival type thing.
Hmm.
And they had put in this extra mode towards release, or I don't know if it was in beta or before it came out, but I know it was in the infancy of the game. And it took off like a wildfire to the point where they completely abandoned their initial model of the game. So that zombie survival, whatever, it wound up being a separate option that if you wanted to play it, you could, but nobody ever played it.
Hmm.
Like they even, I think,
own
gave
that
up on
now.
their achievements for it. Like they just were like kind of like, this never existed. It's not here.
Final Fantasy 14, A Realm Reborn. Fortnite, a cash cow remade.
They are doing a phenomenal job at continuing to transform Fortnite as a game over time, though.
Yes, for sure. I would never play Fortnite build mode where they can construct on the fly towers and all sorts of stuff. I only play Fortnite. What do they have a name?
Zero build.
Zero build, right? Which is
Yeah.
just a first
That's
person
what brought me
shooter.
back to the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what brought me into the game because I tried the building a long time ago, watched this 7-year-old kid build, a tower, and I was just like, okay, bye.
Yeah. The two other modes that are worth mentioning that were expansions or patches. One is Lego, which we'll dive a bit more into here in a second. So, Lego Fortnite is effectively Minecraft Fortnite.
But better.
Yes, objectively speaking, it is better because it has more goal-oriented things, and graphically, it is better.
I should say on console.
On console, right?
It's better.
Right. The community has had many years to make Minecraft very different on computer and with all their patches. So Lego vanilla Fortnite Lego, I believe, is outright just better than vanilla console Minecraft. And it is not something I even realized was part of Fortnite. I thought Fortnite was basically just Apex for ADHD kids. Before I tried it, right? That was my opinion. That was
Jeez.
my perception, because I'm old. And so, having played it, I was like, oh, they have this whole other mode. This is a completely different game,
Mm-hmm.
which was really cool. And then they came out with, very recently, in the last month, the last couple weeks, I think, but definitely recent, they came out with Lego Star Wars Fortnite. Now, Star Wars is also being incorporated into all their other game modes, at least temporarily. But this Lego patch literally changes the way you play. Because originally, like in many survival games like Pal World, Minecraft, Fortnite, Lego, you spawn and you start punching trees and you kind of do your best to get some sort of initial base going. With this Lego expansion, they add all these quests to like help the rebels and all
Mm-hmm.
this Star Warsy stuff. But right out the gate, they make sure they put this, like, it's basically a portal, but a cave route to
Hmm.
a Lego base that's basically already built. And it's not only way more goal oriented, you get all this assistance from the computer NPCs and the style and the theme. It could have literally been a very cheap separate game that people probably would have purchased.
Well, something else that it does that I very much appreciate, because I've tried 3 different mm, playthroughs of it so far, and every single playthrough you start near a cave, which is the rebel base
Hmm.
cave, and that cave goes through to another area, which essentially is introducing you or bringing you to multiple different biomes, which is something that you didn't have before this patch. Now you have access to more biomes more easily because of the Star Wars event. It's so
And
good.
you get
It's
freaking
solid.
lasers. So,
Hey, you get lightsabers.
yeah, which compared to, your wooden sword that you'd have at the same time, it's a pretty step up.
Yeah.
The balance in a negative way, though, is that they introduced avatar theming, very similar to how they did Star Wars type stuff, and it really ruined the balance of the PvP shooter
Mhm.
portion of the game. Uh, I understood it, right? It was based all around the avatar. So you had your earth bending, your fire bending, your water bending, air bending, but they made water bending specifically just completely
So broken.
unbalanced.
They essentially give you a sniper pebble.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like droplet, right? So in this game, there are sniper rifles, there are shotguns, there are assault rifles, and there are automatic, semi-automatic guns, and they work kind of how anyone would assume if they've played any game with that type of weaponry. The water bending is all of them. It shoots fast. It has infinite ammo, which none of them do. It has the range of a sniper. It has the fall off of an assault rifle, which is none, basically. And it has the reload speed of a pistol. It's just,
And it heals you.
oh, yeah.
Oh
And
yeah, in
like,
the
why
water.
not just
Yeah.
add that too? So not only was it hands down the best element, they ended the Avatar event and they kept the water bending. They were like, we don't really know how to balance sniper rifles, so here, just have this completely unbalanced thing, and we're going to
I
carry it
wish
over into Star Wars, where it's not at all related.
I wish out of all of them, if they were going to keep one, they should have kept the one that did no damage. They should have kept airbending.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It was a more of a mobility thing.
Right.
Like it did, you couldn't do damage with the airbending. It was just moving around. Instead, they kept the most broken one out of all of them.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Mind-boggling there. So we're coming up on our time box here, so we do have a couple more that maybe we'll talk about in the future. But Joe, I did want to give you a chance to talk a couple minutes here on Cyberpunk.
So Cyberpunk, I think, is the example where it's not necessarily a patch changed the game. I think it came out so broken that there was nothing that they were doing was fixing anything.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where Sony and different online markets were refunding everything, which says a lot
Yeah.
considering the battle that Sony's currently in with Helldivers and the games that they're going back and forth with. It just shows you that they were just straight out saying, like, hey, we don't put our stamp on this at all.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give you back your money. Like, just don't bother with it. What saved it, which was kind of what's happening to the revival of Fallout with their new TV show, is Cyberpunk came out with their anime.
Yep. On Netflix.
And it was, and it was very, very good, to the point where it revitalized the game as a whole, where they had people go back into the game and check out the fixes that they had been doing. Because again, it was so bad that people didn't even care.
Yeah.
People were like, "Oh, you fixed it? Who cares?" Like,
yep.
It was so bad, I don't want to play this.
I literally was one of those people. I heard that it was fixed after a while, and I was like, I don't care. I lost interest, and I was excited about it before it came out.
We pre-ordered it.
Yeah,
It looked really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal makes a really huge point here. It is the only game I have ever canceled a pre-order on, ever, because of just how badly it was getting flamed, deservedly.
Well, we hadn't gotten it yet, or it wasn't out yet when you canceled it. But what happened was that it was pushed back multiple times.
Yeah.
To the point where we're like, this is not a good sign. Like,
which made it even worse because when it did come out, it had already been delayed at least 4 times.
Yeah.
So the fact that it got delayed and then it still came out a dumpster fire was like, how does this make sense? And again, the parent company wasn't doing anything to help themselves. It was just all around not a good look. They had big names attached to it. They had Keanu Reeves as one of the characters. I mean, it was pretty big considering the marketing alone was massive.
Oh, yeah.
Massive. So to see that type of backing and then it just comes out and it's like, bleh.
Broken.
But again, the TV show came out and it's to the point where the game now has an overall positive review. So they dusted themselves off and they used that hype to get people back into it and back on it. And I think it's a testament to them kind of sticking to it, considering the game came out, I would say, 3 years ago now?
Maybe more.
At least 3.
Cyberpunk release date. Let's see if the Google wins. 2020, and it is the 5th month of 2024 currently. Now it was December 2020, so we'll say 2021. You were right. You were pretty close there, about 3.5 years, give or take. And if I did that math wrong, congrats, internet. You get the flame. I think it's 3.5 years, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
It's inside the bubble, 3 to 4. Like, but again, they saved themselves, and that's an example of them patching and fixing whatever it was that was wrong. I can't say what it was because it was so bad I never even attempted the game. I had it downloaded at one point because I think it was like free on a season pass type.
That says a lot too.
Yeah, I had it downloaded because it was a part of the Xbox Pass at one point, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I downloaded it and I was like, I'll check it out. But again, I never heard anything that even gave me the inkling of saying like, okay, I'll give it a shot. It was just like, nah.
And to your point, it is now actually well rated. So they made that slow, steady change to the game. I'm amazed they did. But yeah, the anime is great, and we'll see if that franchise continues. I actually, on that note, let's leave off. I'll Google to make sure later, but I'm pretty sure that Cyberpunk is actually coming out with a new thing, either a new game or
they had a new I wouldn't say it was a patch; it was an expansion, and it had Idris Elba being like a character in it, and it got really, really positive reviews overall. And I think that was the last thing that they were doing. I don't know if they're doing more on top of that, but that I know for a fact came out.
Okay. It's funny because I know we're gonna wrap up here in like just a moment, but it's like I'm gonna Google this like 10 seconds after we're done talking. Anyway, this has been a good discussion. We actually didn't get through our list, and that's okay. Thank you all for listening and watching. If you're watching on YouTube, this is Owl Knights Media and our podcast, Gaming at. Ooh, I'm having a moment. Editor, fix me. This is gaming. No, this has been Gaming at the Round Table with Owl Knights Media. Thank you, and we'll talk to you later.